The red dust of Kepler 442 bits swirled outside the windows of the military outpost. Lee Tahoe sat alone in his small room, cleaning his plasma rifle for the third time that day. It was a habit he could not break. Clean weapons meant staying alive. Dirty weapons meant death. The communication device on his desk made a soft beeping sound. Tahoe looked up from his rifle. A message had arrived from Earth. He had not received personal mail in 6 months. Most of his friends were here on this distant planet, fighting the same war he was fighting. He pressed the screen with his finger. The message opened slowly. The sender's name made him freeze. It was from his old high school in Seoul, South Korea. The school he had tried very hard to forget. "Hello, Lee Tahoe," the message began. "This is Kim Teacher from Seoul High School. We are having our 15-year reunion next month. We hope you can come back to Earth to join us. Many of your old classmates will be there." Tahoe stared at the screen. 15 years. Had it really been that long since he left Earth? He was 18 when he joined the Terran Defense Corps. Now he was 33 years old. Half of his life had been spent fighting wars on distant planets. The message continued with details about the reunion. It would be held in the school gymnasium. There would be food and music. People would share stories about their lives. The message ended with a list of classmates who had already said they would come. Tahoe's hands began to shake as he read the names. Park Jinwoo, Kim Dongmin, Choi Bo-ram, Han So-jin. These were names he had not thought about in years. Names that still made his stomach feel sick. He put down the communication device and walked to the small mirror on his wall. The face looking back at him was not the same face that had left Earth 15 years ago. That boy had been thin and weak. His face had been soft and scared. This man was different. His shoulders were wide now. His arms were thick with muscle. Scars crossed his face and neck. One scar ran from his left ear to his chin. He had gotten it during the Battle of Titan 7, when an alien blade had nearly killed him. His eyes were different too. They were hard and cold. They had seen too much death. Tahoe remembered his last day at Seoul High School. Jinwoo had pushed him into the bathroom wall. Dongmin had laughed while Jinwoo hit him in the stomach. Bo-ram had walked past without looking. So Jin had watched from the doorway, but said nothing. "You are nothing," Jinwoo had said. "You will always be nothing." Tahoe touched the scar on his face. Jinwoo had been wrong. He was not nothing anymore. He was a warrior. He had fought creatures that would make Jinwoo cry like a baby. He had saved colonies and destroyed enemy ships. He had medals and honors. He was not the scared boy who had run away from school 15 years ago. But why did his hands still shake when he thought about going back? The door to his room opened. Commander Raxdal entered. The alien was 7 feet tall with blue skin and 4 arms. He had been Tahoe's commanding officer for 3 years. "Tahoe," the commander said in his deep voice, "you look troubled. What is wrong?" "I received a message from Earth," Tahoe said. "My old school wants me to come to a reunion." Commander Raxfell tilted his large head. "A reunion? This is a gathering of your past companions." "Yes, people I knew before I became a soldier." "And this troubles you?" Tahoe picked up the communication device again. "These people, they were not kind to me. They made my life very difficult. I left Earth because of them." The commander was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. "Tahoe, you are one of my best warriors. You have faced the enemy without fear. You have saved many lives. Why do these humans from your past still have power over you?" It was a good question. Tahoe did not have a good answer. "Perhaps," the commander continued, "it is time for you to face this old battle. You have won many battles out here among the stars. Maybe you need to win this one too." Tahoe looked at the message again. Then he looked at himself in the mirror. The scared boy was gone. In his place stood a man who had survived 15 years of war. Maybe it was time to go home. Asterisk word count. 650 asterisk. The transport ship landed at Seoul Spaceport with a soft thud. Taeho stepped out onto Earth's soil for the first time in 15 years. The air smelled different from what he remembered. It was clean and sweet. On Kepler 442 bits, the air always smelled like metal and dust. Everything looked smaller than he remembered. The buildings seemed low. The people seemed soft. They walked slowly and talked quietly. Nobody carried weapons. Nobody watched the sky for enemy ships. It felt strange and peaceful. Taeho took the subway to his parents' neighborhood. His military bag was heavy on his shoulder. Inside were his medals, his service records, and one small plasma pistol. Old habits were hard to break. The house looked exactly the same, small and white with a red roof. His mother's flowers still grew in the front yard. Taeho stood at the gate for a long moment. His heart was beating fast. This was harder than facing alien warriors. He knocked on the door. "Coming," called a voice from inside. The door opened and his mother appeared. She was older now. Her hair was gray and her face had more lines. But her eyes were the same kind eyes he remembered. For a moment, she just stared at him. Then her hands flew to her mouth. "Taeho," she whispered. "Is it really you?" "Hello, Mother," he said. She began to cry. Then she was hugging him and crying harder. My son is home." His father came running from the kitchen. He stopped when he saw Taeho. The old man's eyes went wide. You are so big," his father said. "What happened to my skinny boy?" Taeho smiled. It felt good to smile. "The military happened, Father." They sat in the living room and drank tea. His parents asked many questions. Where had he been? What had he done? Was he hurt? Were the scars painful? Taeho answered as best he could. He told them about the different planets. He showed them his medals, but he did not tell them about the battles. He did not tell them about watching friends die. Some things were too heavy to share. "We are so proud of you," his mother said. She kept touching his face like she could not believe he was real. "Our little boy became a hero." "I am not a hero," Taeho said. "I just did my job." His father laughed. "Always so modest, just like when you were small." His mother went to get photo albums. She showed him pictures of his high school graduation. He looked so young and thin in the photos. His face was soft and scared. "Do you remember Park Jin-woo?" his mother asked, pointing to a photo. "He has a big company now, very successful. And Kim Dong-min opened many gyms. They both got married and have children." Taeho studied the photos. Jin-woo looked the same but older. Dong-min had gotten bigger and more muscled. But their eyes were the same, cold and mean. "What about Han So-jin?" he asked. "Oh, she became famous," his mother said excitedly. "She is on television now, reading the news, very beautiful and smart." His mother showed him So-jin's picture on her phone. She was beautiful, more beautiful than in high school. But Taeho remembered how she had watched Jin-woo hurt him and said nothing. That night, Taeho lay in his old bed. It was too small for him now. The room felt tiny. On the walls were his old school books and childhood toys, everything from a different life. He could not sleep. Every small sound made him reach for his weapon. A car door closing, a dog barking, footsteps on the street. His body was trained for war. Peace felt dangerous. He got up and looked out the window. The neighborhood was quiet and dark. No enemy ships in the sky. No soldiers on patrol. Just normal people living normal lives. Tomorrow he would go to the reunion. He would see Jin-woo and Dong-min and all the others. They would see what he had become. But more importantly, he would see what they had become. Were they still the same cruel people who had made his life hell? Or had they changed too? Taeho touched the scar on his face. Soon he would find out. He spent the rest of the night cleaning his plasma pistol and thinking about the past. Asterisk word count. 650 asterisk. The school gymnasium looked exactly the same. Same yellow walls, same wooden floor, same basketball hoops hanging from the ceiling. But tonight it was decorated with balloons and lights. Tables full of food lined the walls. Music played from speakers in the corners. Tai-ho stood at the entrance and watched his former classmates. They were all older now. Some were fat, some were thin, some had gray hair. But he recognized their faces, faces from his nightmares. He wore a simple black suit, no military uniform, no medals. He wanted to blend in at first, to watch and listen before they noticed him. A woman with short hair walked up to him. She smiled brightly. "Hello, I am Lee Mai Ran from the reunion committee. I don't think we have met. Are you someone's husband?" "I graduated from here," Tai-ho said quietly. Mai Ran looked confused. She studied his face carefully. Then her eyes went wide. "Wait, are you Lee Tai-ho?" Other people nearby heard his name. They turned to look. Conversation stopped. The music seemed to get quieter. "Tai-ho," someone whispered. "The skinny kid who sat in the back." "No way. That can't be him. Look at those shoulders. What happened to his face? Those scars." More people gathered around him. They stared like he was some kind of strange animal. Some looked scared. Others looked amazed. Across the room, Tai-ho saw Park Jin-woo. His former tormentor had gotten fat around the middle. His hair was thinning on top. He wore an expensive suit, but it could not hide his soft belly. Jin-woo was talking to Kim Dong-min. Dong-min had gotten bigger and more muscled, but his face was the same, mean and stupid. They had not noticed him yet. "Tai-ho," a familiar voice called out. Na Hyun-sik pushed through the crowd. He had been Tai-ho's only friend in high school. Now he was tall and thin with glasses. "Hyun-sik," Tai-ho said, smiling for the first time that night. "I can't believe it's really you." Hyun-sik grabbed his hand and shook it hard. "Look at you. You're huge. What happened? Where have you been?" "I joined the military," Tai-ho said simply. "Military? For 15 years. "Yes." Before Hyun-sik could ask more questions, another voice interrupted them. Well, look what the cat dragged in." Tai-ho turned around. Jin-woo stood behind him with a drink in his hand. His face had the same nasty smile from high school. "Park Jin-woo," Tai-ho said calmly. "I heard someone say Lee Tai-ho was here. I had to see for myself." Jin-woo looked him up and down. "You certainly changed." Dong-min appeared next to Jin-woo. He was bigger than Tai-ho remembered. His arms were thick with muscle from working out. "Is this really the crybaby from high school?" Dong-min laughed. "What did you do? Take steroids?" More people gathered around them. The whole room was watching now. Some looked excited to see drama. Others looked uncomfortable. "So what have you been doing all these years?" Jin-woo asked. "Besides lifting weights." "I serve in the Terran Defense Corps," Tai-ho said. "Defense Corps?" Jin-woo laughed. "You mean you're a soldier? Playing war games on some rock in space?" "Something like that," Tai-ho said quietly. "I run my own company now," Jin-woo said proudly. "Marketing and advertising. Very successful. Make more money in a month than soldiers make in a year. And I own 5 gyms," Dong-min added. "Real business. Real money. Not playing soldier boy." Tai-ho said nothing. He just watched them. They were exactly the same as in high school. Bullies who needed to put others down to feel big. Tai-ho. He turned around. Han So-jin stood behind him. She was even more beautiful than in the photos. She wore a red dress and her hair was perfect. But her eyes looked nervous. "Is it really you?" she asked softly. "Hello, So-jin," he said. I can't believe how different you look." She stared at his scars. "What happened to your face?" "War," he said simply. The word made the room go quiet. Real war was something these people had never seen. They lived safe, comfortable lives while soldiers like Tai-ho fought to keep them safe. Jin Woo broke the silence with another laugh. War? Come on. What kind of war? Fighting space pirates. Tai-ho looked at him for a long moment. Jin Woo's smile began to fade under his stare. The kind where people die, Tai-ho said quietly. The room stayed quiet. Nobody laughed now. Asterisk word count. 650 asterisk. The silence lasted only a few seconds. Then Jin Woo forced another laugh, but it sounded fake now. Come on, Tai-ho. Don't be so serious. We're all friends here, right? Jin Woo put his hand on Tai-ho's shoulder. What happened in high school? That was just kids being kids. Boys will be boys. We were young and stupid. Tai-ho looked down at Jin Woo's hand on his shoulder. Then he looked back at Jin Woo's face. Take your hand off me, he said quietly. Jin Woo's smile disappeared, but he kept his hand there. What's wrong? Can't take a friendly touch. Still the same sensitive crybaby. Tai-ho moved so fast that most people missed it. One moment, Jin Woo's hand was on his shoulder. The next moment, Jin Woo was bent over, holding his wrist and making a small crying sound. I said take your hand off me, Tai-ho repeated calmly. Everyone stared. Jin Woo straightened up slowly, still holding his wrist. His face was red with pain and embarrassment. What the hell was that? Dong Min stepped forward. His fists were clenched. You think because you got some muscles you can push people around. I don't push anyone around, Tai-ho said. I just don't let people touch me without permission. Permission? Jin Woo laughed, but his voice shook a little. Since when do old classmates need permission? We used to be friends. We were never friends, Tai-ho said. You made my life hell for 3 years. You and your friends here. He looked around the circle. Several people who had laughed at him in high school were now looking at the floor. That was different, Dong Min said. That was school. This is real life. We're adults now. You're right, Tai-ho said. We are adults. So act like one. So Jin stepped closer. Tai-ho, maybe we should all just forget the past. Start fresh. We're different people now. Are we? Tai-ho looked at her. When Jin Woo pushed me into walls, where were you? When Dong Min stole my lunch money, what did you do? So Jin's face turned red. I was young. I didn't know what to do. You knew. You just chose to do nothing. The crowd around them was getting bigger. People were taking photos with their phones. Some were recording videos. Look, Jin Woo said, trying to sound reasonable. I'm sorry if we hurt your feelings back then, but we can help each other now. I have connections, business contacts. You could make real money instead of playing soldier. Playing soldier? Tai-ho's voice stayed calm, but something changed in his eyes. Several people stepped back without knowing why. Yeah, Dong Min said, not noticing the danger. How much do they pay you to shoot at rocks in space? I make more in a week than you probably make in a month. What do you think I do out there? Tai-ho asked. I don't know. Guard duty, patrol empty planets. Look tough in a uniform. Tai-ho was quiet for a moment. Then he started rolling up his sleeves. His arms were covered with more scars. Some looked like burns. Others looked like claw marks. These are from fighting the Kreks on Titan 7, he said, pointing to 3 long scars on his left arm. They're 8 feet tall with razor claws. This one, he touched a burn mark on his right shoulder, is from saving a colony ship from raiders. The room was completely quiet now. People stared at his scars. And this, he touched the scar on his face, is from when I held off 50 enemy soldiers so my squad could escape. Half my men died that day. Jin Woo's face had gone pale. I didn't know. You never asked, Tai-ho said. You just assumed. Just like in high school. You assumed I was weak. You assumed I would always be weak. He stepped closer to Jin Woo. The bigger man actually took a step back. But you know what I learned out there? Real strength isn't about hurting people weaker than you. Real strength is about protecting people who can't protect themselves. Dong Min tried to look tough. So what? You think your war stories scare us? Tai Ho looked at him for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a nice smile. Tomorrow, your gym. Let's see if 15 years changed anything. Asterisk word count. 650 asterisk. The next morning, Tai Ho woke up early. His body was used to getting up before sunrise. Even on Earth, old habits stayed strong. He did his morning exercises in his parents' backyard. Push-ups, pull-ups, stretches. His neighbors watched from their windows. They had never seen someone move like that before. His mother made him breakfast. Rice, soup, and grilled fish. Food from home tasted better than military rations. Where are you going today? She asked. To visit an old classmate, Tai Ho said. He did not want to worry her. That's nice. Making friends again. Tai Ho almost smiled. Making friends was not exactly what he had planned. His phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. Don't come if you're scared. We understand. Jin Woo. Another message came right after. My gym. 2 p.m. Bring your tough guy act. Dong Min. Then another one. Everyone will be there to watch. Don't embarrass yourself. Jin Woo. Tai Ho put down his phone. They were still trying to make him feel small. Still trying to control him with fear and shame. Some things never changed. At noon, his phone rang. It was Hyunsik. Tai Ho. Don't go to that gym. Why not? Jin Woo has been calling everyone. He's telling people to come watch. He says you challenged Dong Min to a fight. He's making it sound like you're the bad guy. And Dong Min has been training for years. He's strong, Tai Ho. Really strong. He owns 5 gyms. He teaches fighting classes. I know. This isn't like the old days. You can't just ignore them and walk away. If you lose, they'll never let you forget it. They'll make your life hell again. Tai Ho was quiet for a moment. Hyunsik, I'm not the same person I was in high school. I know, but trust me. At 1:30 p.m., Tai Ho arrived at Dong Min's gym. It was big and modern. Expensive equipment everywhere. Posters of muscled men and women on the walls. A crowd had already gathered. At least 30 people from his high school class. Some looked excited. Others looked worried. Everyone had their phones ready to record. So Jin was there, standing near the back. She looked nervous. Jin Woo walked up to him with a big smile. I'm surprised you came. I thought you might chicken out. Here I am, Tai Ho said simply. Good. This will be fun. Just like old times. Dong Min appeared from the back office. He was wearing workout clothes that showed off his muscles. His arms were huge. His chest was wide. He looked like a professional fighter. So the little soldier boy actually showed up, Dong Min said loudly. The crowd laughed. I keep my promises, Tai Ho said. Good, because I've been looking forward to this. Dong Min cracked his knuckles. 15 years I've been waiting to finish what we started in high school. What exactly did we start? Tai Ho asked. Teaching you your place. Tai Ho looked around at the crowd. Many of these people had watched Jin Woo and Dong Min hurt him years ago. None of them had helped. Now they were here to watch again. And what place is that? Tai Ho asked. On the ground. Dong Min said. Under my foot. The crowd got excited. People were taking pictures and videos. Jin Woo held up his hands for quiet. Okay, everyone. Here are the rules. No weapons. No outside help. When someone gives up or can't continue, it's over. He looked at Tai Ho. Unless our war hero wants to back out now, no shame in admitting you're outmatched. Tai Ho looked at Dong Min. The man was bigger and stronger than most people Tai Ho had met. His muscles were real. His confidence was real too. But Tai Ho had fought things that would give Dong Min nightmares. I'm ready, Taeho said quietly. Great. Jinwoo clapped his hands. Let's see what 15 years of playing soldier taught you. Dongmin stepped into the center of the gym. He was bouncing on his feet like a boxer. His fists were up and ready. Taeho walked to the center slowly. His hands hung at his sides. He looked relaxed, almost bored. Come on. Dongmin shouted. Put your hands up. Fight like a man. Taeho tilted his head slightly. Are you sure you want this? Stop talking and fight. The crowd was getting louder. People were shouting and cheering. Taeho sighed. Then he raised his hands. Your move, he said. Asterisk word count. 650 asterisk. Dongmin charged forward like an angry bull. His fist flew toward Taeho's face with all his strength behind it. Taeho moved his head just a little. The punch missed by inches. Dongmin stumbled forward, confused. What the? Dongmin spun around and threw another punch. Taeho stepped to the side. The punch hit nothing but air. He had barely moved, but somehow he was not where Dongmin expected him to be. The crowd was quiet now. This was not what they expected to see. Stand still and fight. Dongmin yelled. He swung both fists at once. Taeho ducked under one punch and caught Dongmin's other wrist. With a quick twist, he spun Dongmin around and let him go. Dongmin stumbled into the wall. I am fighting, Taeho said calmly. Are you? Dongmin's face turned red with anger. He ran at Taeho again, this time with his arms spread wide to grab him. Taeho waited until the last second. Then he dropped low and swept Dongmin's legs. The big man crashed to the floor hard. On Kepler 442 bits, we fought the Orcs. Taeho said while Dongmin got back up. They're fast and strong. Much faster than you. Dongmin got to his feet and charged again. This time, he tried to tackle Taeho around the waist. Taeho grabbed Dongmin's shoulders and used his own momentum against him. He spun and threw Dongmin across the room. Dongmin slid 10 feet across the floor and hit a weight machine. The crowd gasped. Some people stepped back. The Orcs have claws that can cut through steel. Taeho continued, not even breathing hard. They hunt in packs. One mistake, and you're dead. Dongmin stood up slowly. His confidence was gone now. He looked scared. This isn't over, he said, but his voice shook. Yes, it is, Taeho said. But if you want to continue. Jinwoo stepped forward from the crowd. Hey, this was supposed to be a fair fight. It is fair, Taeho said. He can stop any time. You're using some kind of tricks. No tricks. Just training. 2 other men from the crowd stepped forward. Taeho recognized them. They had been Dongmin's friends in high school, bullies who picked on smaller kids. This is stupid, one of them said. Let's all teach him a lesson together. Bad idea, Taeho said quietly. Why? You think you can take all of us. The 3 men spread out around him. Dongmin was still on the ground, holding his back where he had hit the weight machine. Last chance to walk away, Taeho said. They all rushed him at once. What happened next was over in 15 seconds. The first man threw a punch. Taeho caught his arm, spun him around, and put him in a chokehold. The man went to sleep and dropped to the floor. The second man tried to grab him from behind. Taeho elbowed him in the stomach, then grabbed his arm and flipped him over his shoulder. The man landed hard and did not get up. Dongmin had gotten back to his feet and tried to punch Taeho in the back of the head. Taeho sensed him coming without looking. He ducked, grabbed Dongmin's arm, and twisted it behind his back. Dongmin screamed and fell to his knees. Do you give up? Taeho asked. Yes. Yes. Let me go. Taeho released him. Dongmin fell forward, holding his arm. The gym was completely silent. People stared with their mouths open. Nobody moved. Taeho looked around at the crowd. His breathing was still normal. He was not even sweating. On Titan 7, I fought 50 enemy soldiers, he said quietly. Real soldiers with real weapons. They killed half my squad before I stopped them. He walked over to where Jinwoo was standing. Jinwoo's face was white with fear. You want to know the difference between a schoolyard fight and real combat? Taiho asked. Jinwoo could not speak. He just nodded. In real combat, hesitation means death. Mercy means death. You learn to end fights quickly and completely. You learn that size and muscle don't matter as much as speed and skill. Taiho looked around the room again. You also learn that some fights are not worth having. But some fights, he looked back at Jinwoo. Some fights have been waiting 15 years to finish. So Jin stepped forward from the crowd. Her face was pale. Taiho, she said softly. I think they understand now. Taiho looked at her for a long moment. Then he looked at the three men on the floor. Then at Jinwoo's terrified face. Do they? He asked. Asterisk word count. 650 asterisk. Taiho walked to a bench and sat down. He was not tired, but he wanted to give the men on the floor time to recover. Around him, people whispered to each other. Some were already leaving. Dongmin slowly got to his feet, still holding his twisted arm. His two friends were awake but stayed on the ground. They looked embarrassed and hurt. Why? Dongmin asked quietly. Why didn't you just beat us up and leave? Why all the talking? Taiho looked at him. Because beating you up doesn't change anything. It just makes me like you. Jinwoo was still standing in the same spot, staring. His expensive suit was wrinkled from sweating. Sit down, Taiho said to him. All of you. Sit down and listen. Nobody moved at first. Then So Jin came forward and sat on the floor near Taiho. One by one, others followed. Even Dongmin and his friends sat down, though they kept their distance. You want to know what I learned out there? Taiho asked. What 15 years of war really taught me? The room was quiet except for the sound of people breathing. I learned that humans are amazing. We can survive anything. We can adapt to any world, fight any enemy, overcome any challenge. Taiho's voice was soft, but everyone could hear him. I saw a medic named Park Jae-sung hold a bridge for 6 hours while enemy ships bombed it. He saved 300 colonists. He died doing it, but he never stopped fighting. Several people looked down at the floor. I saw a pilot named Kim Yuna fly her damaged ship into an enemy destroyer to save her squadron. She was 19 years old. She could have ejected and saved herself. She chose to save others instead. Taiho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people were living normal, peaceful lives. I saw humans do impossible things every day. We are stronger than any alien race I fought, not because of our muscles or our weapons, because we protect each other, because we sacrifice for each other. He turned back to face the room. But I also saw the worst of humanity. I saw soldiers who were cruel to prisoners. I saw officers who sent good men to die for stupid reasons. I saw people who had power use it to hurt others instead of protect them. His eyes found Jinwoo in the crowd. They reminded me of high school. Jinwoo's face went red. That's not fair. We were just kids. Were you? Taiho asked. When you pushed me into walls, were you trying to make yourself feel strong? When you stole my lunch money, was it because you needed the money, or was it because you could? Jinwoo opened his mouth, but no words came out. I spent 3 years afraid to come to school. 3 years eating lunch alone in bathrooms. 3 years wondering what I did wrong to deserve it. So Jin spoke up quietly. You didn't do anything wrong. I know that now, Taiho said. But I didn't know it then. A 15-year-old boy doesn't understand why bigger kids hurt him for fun. The room was completely silent. Do you want to know the real difference between you and the enemy soldiers I fought? Taiho asked. Nobody answered. The aliens had reasons. They'd fought for their families, their homes, their beliefs. They were wrong, but they had reasons. He walked closer to Jinwoo. You hurt me because it was fun, because it made you feel big, because you could. Tears were running down So-jin's face. Several other people looked like they might cry too. I came back here to understand, Taeho continued, to see if you had changed, to see if you had learned to use your strength to help people instead of hurt them. He looked around the room at all the faces from his past. Some of you have. Some of you are good people now. You have families you love, jobs where you help others. You grew up. His eyes stopped on Jinwoo and Dongmin. Others are still the same. Still bullies. Still using whatever power you have to make others feel small. Dongmin finally found his voice. What do you want from us? Taeho smiled, but it was a sad smile. I want you to be better than you were. Asterisk word count. 650 asterisk. The gym stayed quiet for a long time. People looked at each other, at the floor, at anything except Taeho's face. Finally, someone spoke. I'm sorry. Everyone turned to look. It was Lee Minho, a quiet boy who had sat in the back of their class. He was older now, wearing a simple teacher's uniform. I watched them hurt you, Minho said to Taeho. I never helped. I was afraid they would hurt me too. I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize, Taeho said gently. You were scared. That's normal. No. Minho shook his head. Being scared is normal. Doing nothing is a choice. I chose to do nothing. Another voice spoke up. I laughed. It was a woman named Yoon Hae-jin. She had been popular in high school, always surrounded by friends. When they made fun of your old clothes, I laughed. I thought it was funny. I'm sorry. More people began to speak. One by one, they admitted their part in Taeho's suffering. Some had watched and done nothing. Others had joined in the laughter. A few had even helped the bully sometimes. Taeho listened to each confession without anger. His face stayed calm and understanding. Thank you, he said when they finished. It takes courage to admit mistakes. So-jin stood up slowly. Her makeup was ruined from crying, but she looked more real than she had at the reunion. I was the worst one, she said quietly. What do you mean? Taeho asked. You had a crush on me. Everyone knew it, and I used it. The room got very quiet again. I would smile at you sometimes, just enough to give you hope. Then I would ignore you when Jinwoo and his friends were around. I let you think I cared, but I only cared about staying popular. Taeho nodded slowly. I remember. You would look at me like I was the only good thing in your life, and I threw that away to protect my reputation. So-jin wiped her eyes. I'm so sorry, Taeho. I'm sorry I was such a coward. We were 17, Taeho said. 17-year-olds make bad choices. But you didn't. So-jin said. You never hurt anyone. Even when they hurt you, you never tried to hurt them back. I wanted to, Taeho admitted. Many times. But I was too weak then. You weren't weak, Minho said. You were kind. There's a difference. Hyun-sik, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke up. I tried to help you sometimes. But I was small too. They would have hurt both of us. You did help, Taeho said. You were my friend when I had no friends. You ate lunch with me when everyone else stayed away. That meant everything. Hyun-sik smiled through his tears. I always wondered what happened to you after you left. I'm proud of who you became. And I'm grateful for who you were. Dongmin, who had been sitting quietly holding his arm, finally looked up. I don't understand something. What? Why aren't you angry? We ruined your life. We made you so miserable you had to leave Earth. You could destroy us now. Nobody would blame you. Why don't you? Taeho thought about the question for a moment. Because anger is a poison. It hurts the person who carries it more than anyone else. I carried anger for years. It made me a better fighter, but it made me a worse person. He looked around the room at all the faces from his past. I learned something important in the war. The enemy is not the person who hurts you. The enemy is the pain itself, the hate itself. If I let hate control me, then you win. Even 15 years later, you still win. Jinwoo, who had been silent since his earlier outburst, slowly raised his head. What if? He started, then stopped. What if what? Tahoe asked. What if we really are sorry? What if we want to change? Is it too late? Tahoe looked at him for a long time. Everyone waited for his answer. I don't know, he said finally. That depends on you. Asterisk word count. 650 asterisk. 3 days later, Tahoe stood at Seoul spaceport with his military bag over his shoulder. His leave was over. Commander Raxfeld had sent word that the Corps needed him back on Kepler 442 bits. New battles were coming. His parents had cried when he said goodbye. They wanted him to stay on Earth, to find a safe job, to get married, and give them grandchildren. But Tahoe knew his place was among the stars, protecting people who would never know his name. Final boarding call for transport ship Aurora, the speaker announced. Destination: Kepler 442 bits. Tahoe started walking toward the gate. Then he heard someone call his name. Tahoe. Wait. He turned around. Jinwoo was running toward him, out of breath and sweating. He looked different. His expensive suit was gone. He wore simple clothes and his hair was messy. I'm glad I caught you, Jinwoo said, breathing hard. What do you want? Tahoe asked calmly. I wanted to give you something. Jinwoo pulled out a small envelope. And to tell you something. Tahoe took the envelope, but did not open it. I quit my job, Jinwoo said. Yesterday, I thought about what you said, about using power to help people instead of hurt them. My company, we lied to customers. We took their money and gave them nothing. I was good at it because I was good at bullying people. And now I don't know what I'll do, but I won't do that anymore. Jinwoo looked at the ground. I called the people we cheated. I'm going to pay them back, even if it takes years. Tahoe nodded. That's a start. The envelope, Jinwoo said. Open it. Inside was a small piece of paper with an address written on it. It's a school, Jinwoo explained. A place for kids who get bullied. Kids who are different. Kids like you were. They need volunteers. People who understand. Why are you telling me this? Because you're leaving. But maybe when you come back again, you could help them. You know what it feels like. You know how to be strong without being cruel. Tahoe looked at the address. What about you? What will you do? I already talked to them. I'm going to volunteer too. Help with the kids who bully others. Try to teach them what I learned too late. For the first time since the reunion, Tahoe smiled. A real smile. That's good, Jinwoo. That's very good. Final boarding call for transport ship Aurora, the speaker repeated. I have to go, Tahoe said. I know. Just. Thank you. For not destroying me when you could have. For showing me a better way. They shook hands. Jinwoo's grip was firm but not aggressive. Just honest. Take care of yourself, Tahoe said. You too. And Tahoe. Come back safe. Earth needs people like you. Tahoe walked toward the gate. At the entrance, he turned back one more time. Jinwoo was still standing there, watching him go. On the transport ship, Tahoe found his seat and looked out the window. Earth was getting smaller below him. Soon he would be back in space, back to war, back to protecting humanity from threats they never saw coming. But something had changed inside him. The angry, hurt boy who had left Earth 15 years ago was finally gone. In his place was a man who understood that the greatest battles were not fought with weapons, but with wisdom and compassion. He pulled out his communication device and sent a message to Commander Raxfeld. Returning to duty. Mission on Earth complete. Lessons learned. Then he sent another message to the school address Jinwoo had given him. My name is Lee Tahoe. I am a soldier, but I was once a bullied child. When I return to Earth, I would like to help. Both the victims and the bullies. Everyone deserves a chance to become better. The ship entered hyperspace, carrying him back to the war among the stars. But Taeho was no longer just a warrior. He was a teacher, a healer, a bridge between pain and hope. And someday, when the wars were over and peace came to the galaxy, he would return to Earth again. Not as an angry victim seeking revenge, but as a wise man ready to guide others toward the light. The boy who had been broken by cruelty had become a man who could heal it. That was the greatest victory of all.